so much. Thank you, Mark. Before I start, there's just something on my heart. There's always something on my heart to say. I saw something on Instagram, very spiritual yesterday. I don't want to tell you who it is because you'll be on Instagram and having a look. But this lady is a renowned preacher, Australian chick, and she was saying this, and it resonated in me. And how many times do we come to church and we stand from this pulpit and we try and convince you all how amazing our church is. Coastside is awesome, and it is. It's awesome, but God is more awesome. This is God here, you know. Let's not forget what we're here for. It is for Jesus. It is God, and we shouldn't have to convince you how awesome Coastside is. You should just know, no matter what happens, whether this is a crap message, whether this is bad, whatever, no matter what it is, and this is not to set me up to go bad, you know, this is because we're here for God and we're here for Jesus. And if this is your first time here visiting this morning, you are here because you're searching something. And can I just say, it is Jesus that you are searching for. And if you hang around and hear me out, you will get an opportunity to meet with this Jesus, because this is what you're searching for. And any prodigal heart that has come back and you've wavered and and it doesn't matter what you've done, the answer is always Jesus. It's not Coastside, it's not us, it's Jesus. So with that, I want to honour God, and I thank God because he's proven in my life over the years that he's always faithful. He is always good, no matter what pit I have found myself in. He is a good, honest, loyal God. I also want to give honour to my pastors. You are steadfast, you are loyal, you have trained me, you have proven, you've given me opportunity time and time again, you've tweaked me, you've done everything, and I've hated it sometimes, but I love you for it. My family's better off because of you too, and I honour you publicly. You are such an awesome and amazing couple, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you've sown into my life and my family's life. The title of my message this morning is called The Battle of Peace. And I just want to I am being quite honest this morning. I am going to share some of my story with you because I do believe it is going to encourage even just one, even if it's just for the one, it is worth it. About 18 months ago, I was diagnosed with a blood disease called essential thrombocytosis. It has taken me 18 months to be able to pronounce that long word. So do you want to hear it again? Essential thrombocytosis. It is related to the leukemia cancer group. However, this will not cut my life short. So it could have been a lot worse. Could have been leukemia. Could have been something that my mother had. But I do not have that. It is related to that. What it all means is this, in my own words, is that our blood has platelets in it, and platelets are very handy for when you cut yourself. They rush to the area where you have cut and they block you from bleeding out. A normal platelet count is between 150 and 450. Upon diagnosis for me, it was nearly 1,300. So this is something that is not going to cut my life short, but it is a chronic disease, they call it, and it is something that I have to be medicated for the rest of my life. And it has taken the whole 18 months to get it into now a stable category, and actually just last month we had to trial different types of drugs, and then we had to found the right drug, and then get the concoction right. And so only just last month, my haematologist finally said he said he's happy. Or my haematologist is never happy, if you're inside joke that know him, nice chap and all that. So he's not all that happy, but I'm stable now, so yay! So I am finally, getting where I can work on a bit of fitness. But I tell you what, this has actually changed my life. It's been life-changing for me. And it really has interrupted my fitness and my strength and my health. So it's been quite life-changing for me. About 6 months ago, I started to get anxiety, a completely new experience for me. I've never struggled with anxiety. I've had anxious moments. I've had different things that come along, but I've never been an anxious type of person, but yet here it was. It presented itself 6 months ago, and it was incredibly intense, so intense that it really completely elevated my heart rate. It interfered with my sleep, and it was so intense that I actually did have to go and get a bit of help for it. And you know what? It changed my life. People have come to me and they've told me about their story of anxiety, and I've never understood. Now I can tell you that I empathise with anyone that has anxiety. I absolutely, it presents itself in different forms, but I absolutely understand. It is not a nice thing to go through. On December the 27th last year, Chris and I drove down to Victoria to spend what we thought was 10 days with family, but for me it turned into 7 weeks. And it was here, as most of you know, that we got the news that Mum's cancer had spread from the blood to the kidney, to the liver, to the bowel. And she was given weeks, if not days, to live. And so began my twice-a-day trek to the hospital, gleaning every last bit of wisdom from her, sitting with her. She couldn't open up her Bible. She has this massive big Bible, and I said, Mum, you can get these nice fancy new thin Bibles, but she goes, it's not worth it now, is it? So I would do her daily devotion. That's Mum's joking, not me. I would do her daily devotion. I would read her Bible from her Bible. We talk about everything about heaven, what we think heaven's going to be like. I had the most amazing time. Those 7 weeks changed my life for the better. I absolutely loved it. I made sure I did everything that I could to keep her comfortable, but I gleaned every last bit of wisdom from her, empathy off her, whatever I could. And we had the most amazing time together through those 7 weeks. At the exact same time, upon my mother's diagnosis, my father had to go full-time into the nursing home. He has Alzheimer's disease. And this was the first time where, from now on, he does not know who I am. As soon as I walked in to see him, he didn't know who I was. So I had to, over those 7 weeks, get Dad out of the nursing home, take him to the hospital to see he still recognised my mother. I had to go through the whole process daily, sometimes several times a day, because he's got Alzheimer's, and so Mum's always bounced back. And so Dad would go, oh, she's going to be okay, isn't she? And I'd have to tell him the truth and say, no, Dad, she's not this, she's not going to bounce back from this one. She's going to heaven, Dad. I had to just reassure him that this is the best outcome. It really is. It's just her time. And I had to reassure Dad that, when your time is coming, that you are right, you are going to heaven as well. And so then he would forget 5 minutes later, and then we would repeat the same thing. I have found that to be quite life-changing. I have found that to be quite life-changing, to have a father that still lives and still breathes, but yet has no clue who I am anymore. And then on the February the 4th, as most of you know, my mother passed away, and I found that to be quite life-changing. Whilst we celebrated to start off with, because on the February the 4th, we've been praying for years for Mum's healing, We declared in the name of Jesus that her body would be healed in Jesus' name. And on February the 4th, our prayers were answered, because she is now got this brand spanking new body that has got no disease in it. And we were just celebrating to start off. We were just so happy and so excited and relieved that the suffering was over. But then when the relief wore off, I discovered that I really missed her more than what I thought I would. She was my confidant right up to the very end, and I miss her. So it's been quite life-changing for me. Before these life-changing events, I've never really thought much about peace. It's just something that I believe entered my heart when I accepted Jesus again, when I got restored again with Jesus back in 1998. It was just there. I never had to jostle with it. It was just there. And I've had the usual trials and things that life throws at you, but yet peace was just something that I knew was just in there. But these events, these things that happened to me I found quite life-changing for me. And I didn't bounce back from one when the other one would hit. And so my peace for the first time was compromised. My sound mind was being threatened, and it was under threat of leaving, and to me it felt like it completely went. My sound mind and my peace to me felt like it went, and unbeknown to me really what I was doing at the very start 18 months ago, I guess I was stepping into this battle, and I'm calling it the battle of peace. Because you know, when you lose something, you search for it. My grandson is old enough now to play hidey with, but he's not old enough to hide for very long. So when it's his time to hide, I go, where are you, Bozzy? And then he goes, here I am. Here I am. And I thought, wouldn't it be good if peace just jumped out and go, here I am. I'm here. But yet it didn't. So it took a search, and I was searching, and I was searching, and I was searching, and I found the story that resonated with me was the story of Gideon. Some know it very well, but here's a bit of a background. Before Israel had a monarch, it had judges, and Gideon was one of the judges. He was the 5th judge. And Israel had this pattern of seeing these amazing miracles, forgetting about the amazing miracles and going and really sinning. Just going and worshipping other gods and just taking matters into their own hands and just forgetting that God was awesome. And then they'd cry out to God, going, God, help. And then God would appear, do these amazing, and the miracles were amazing. Parting the Red Sea, stopping the flow of the Jordan, bringing manna down from heaven. The miracles were amazing, yet they would forget, and then they'd go and do matters, take matters into their own hands and do things like that they'd forget. And it was this pattern. Kind of sounds a bit familiar. I think we're still a bit the same. And so this pattern, and here we are in this story where this pattern is unfolding. And I want to read it out. It is a little bit of a read, but I do want to read the background of it because it is just worth the read. So it's Judges 6, 1 through 16. The Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and for 7 years he gave them into the hands of the Midianites. Sometimes, can I just even stop the first verse? How many times do we blame the enemy? Do we blame other people? And yet here it says, sometimes you just got to be obedient. We're blaming, and yet sometimes you've just simply got to be obedient because God, he placed them into the hands of the Midianites. Because the power of the Midian was so oppressive, the Israelites prepared shelters for themselves in mountain clefts, caves, and strongholds. Whenever the Israelites planted their crops, the Midianites, Amalekites, and other eastern people invaded the country. They camped on the land and ruined the crops all the way to Gaza and did not spare a living thing for Israel, neither sheep nor cattle nor donkeys. They came up with their livestock and their tents, lives like swarms of locusts. It was impossible to count them. All their camels, they invaded the land to ravage it. Midian so impoverished the Israelites that they cried out to the Lord for help. When the Israelites cried out to the Lord because of Midian, he sent them a prophet who said, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel says. I brought you up out of Egypt and out of the land of slavery. I rescued you from the hand of the Egyptians, and I delivered you from the hand of all the oppressors. I drove them out before you and gave you their land. I said to you, I am the Lord your God. Do not worship the gods of the Amorites in whose land you live. But you have not listened to me." The angel of the Lord came, and this is where I'm actually going to start my message from. The angel of the Lord came, sat down under the oak in Ophrah that belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, where his son Gideon was threshing wheat in a winepress to keep it from the Midianites. When the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, he said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." "Well, pardon me, my Lord," Gideon replied, "but if the Lord is with us, why? Why has all this stuff happened to us? Where are all his wonders that our ancestors told us about when they said, 'Did not the Lord bring us up out of Egypt?' But now the Lord has abandoned us and given us into the hand of Midian." The Lord turned to him and said, "Go in the strength that you have and save Israel out of Midian's hands. Am I not sending you?" "Well, pardon me, my Lord," Gideon replied, "but how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family." The Lord answered, "I will be with you, and you will strike down the Midianites, leaving none alive." Let's jump down to 22. When Gideon realized that it was the angel of the Lord, he exclaimed, "Alas, sovereign Lord, I have seen the angel of the Lord face to face." But the Lord said to him, "Peace, do not be afraid. You are not going to die." So Gideon built an altar to the Lord there, and he called it "The Lord is Peace." To this day it still stands. When I did my searching for my peace, and when I found this story, I knew this story was for me when I heard Gideon go, Why? Where are you, God? Why? And it was in the first week of December, I was able to spend a week with my mother. I flew down to Victoria and I spent a week with Mum. She was not in hospital at this stage. And I knew that God gave her enough strength. We went out every day and we did a shopping. My mum's always loved to shop, clothes shopping, loves a good outfit. She's always loved to go out for lunch and always loved to have a cuppa with me. I'm her only daughter, so whenever I've gone home, we've always done this. This is just something that we've always done. And so for this whole week we went and shopped. I was able to get her a park right out front of the shop, and there was always a seat in the shop, So we just had this amazing week. And as I drove off from that week and I was driving to the airport, I really knew that God was prepping my heart that this was the last time that you would have this with your mum. This will not, that was your last time. And so from early December, God really was starting to prep my heart that the inevitable was upon us. Before we got the doctor's report, God was already prepping my heart. And it was here where the story of Gideon, where I found the story of Gideon, because I was like Gideon. I was like, God, why? Why now? Why now? Why now? I already feel like I've lost my peace. I already feel like I'm losing my mind. And now you want me to lose my mother? Like now? Why now? Why, God, why? And I know that Dave Schaefer was here a few weeks ago and he did this amazing message on going, why is not the right question. I'm like, but yet, Gideon did why thousands of years ago. He's like, but why, God? Where are you? Why? And I'm thousands of years later going, but God, why? And if Gideon didn't start his story with a why, it wouldn't have captured my heart. So sometimes I think why is okay to ask. God can handle the why. God, why? And where are you? So long as we don't camp at why. So a few things I got out of this passage of Gideon. Number one, if you're going to be a bit of a note jotter, number one is I am a mighty warrior. Just as the angel of the Lord said to Gideon, you are a mighty warrior. When I read that, I felt God say to me and whisper to me, you are a mighty warrior. I didn't really feel like this mighty warrior. What's a mighty warrior meant to feel like anyway? I didn't feel like a mighty warrior. But yet, here's the truth. Verse 12, I am a mighty warrior. You are a mighty warrior, because it's written. It's a truth. You are a mighty warrior. I am a mighty warrior. And in our hardness of any season that we walk through, in our anguish, in our pain, in our stress, in our anxiety, we will always point out our incapacity to God, where God simply brings us to the truth. Verse 12, you are a mighty warrior. I am a mighty warrior. I am a mighty warrior. Mighty warriors go into the battle and they face whatever comes their way, because I am a mighty warrior. Mighty warriors, they do not flee. No. Mighty warriors, they take their stand and they rise up and they take on the battle, what they've got to face, because we are a mighty warrior. Mighty warriors, they do not flee. Mighty warriors are kingdom focused. Mighty warriors remain planted. They do not let offence, they do not let the hardness of the season isolate themselves. They do not pull away from friends, they do not pull away from their church. Mighty warriors, they stay planted. Mighty warriors are secure in Him. Mighty warriors lift people up around them because they understand the bigger picture. It's not about us, it's not about me, it's about us. It's not about I, it's us. Mighty warriors. It's us. Mighty warriors link arms together. Mighty warriors choose forgiveness and overlook every offence. Mighty warriors are all about making Jesus famous because they know that it's not self-promotion, because it is us, it's not I. I am a mighty warrior because it's written. It's a truth. And so are you. You are a mighty warrior. It's verse 12. There it is. Underline it. Number 2, go in the strength that you already have. Here's Gideon pointing out his incapacity. My family is the weakest, God, and I myself in the least in my family. What, really? Me? But yet God points him back to the truth and simply says, go in the strength that you have. Verse 14. It's not a feeling. And when this news where God was prepping my heart, I just thought, I can't do this now, God. I have not got the capacity. I've not got the strength. But Psalm 73:26 says, my flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. My heart and my flesh were failing where I was at. They were failing in the season that I was in. But again, the truth always points you back to the truth. He always points you back to the truth. I was failing. My heart, my flesh were failing. But yet God just said, I will give you the strength as you need it. You just got to step out into each day knowing that you're a mighty warrior. And I will be the supplier of your strength as you need it. It's not a feeling. It is a truth. It's written. It's a truth. It's in verse 14. It is a truth. He will supply your need. He will supply you with strength as you need it. It is not a feeling. And we've got to stop waiting for the feeling of strength and mightiness before we step out and do what we've got to do. And the truth is, I guess I saw this unfolding before me as the days turned into weeks down there. I saw Mum getting weaker and weaker, but at the same time, I was getting stronger and stronger. She was deteriorating, yet I was getting healed. In your weakest season, He has proved that He is a provider of strength as you need it. He has proven it to me. As I've needed it, He has supplied it. And number 3, I am with you. I am with you. God says, I am with you. Can I tell you that when you really, really need to know that He's with you, that He will let you know that He's with you. I can remember my mum had to get transferred, a long story, to the nursing home where my father was. That was a meeting after meeting that I had to have with the hospital, and God really gave me strength for these meetings because you're sitting with a panel of people, the big, the big head knobs of the hospital, and saying, we've got to transfer your mother. I'm like, no, we don't. Anyway, God gave me the strength that I needed to face these really horrible meetings. And anyway, she was transferred to the nursing home, which turned out to be the best thing. It was the same nursing home as my father. And I turned up to the nursing home the day that my mother was transferred, and I saw the ambulance out the front, and I took a photo of it because I thought, that's Mum's last trip. I don't know why I took a photo of it, but I took a photo of the ambulance going, oh my gosh, I knew that ambulance was for Mum, and I thought, that's Mum's last trip. I went in and saw Mum, and she was heavily sedated because of the trip out to the nursing home. And then they brought Dad around, and so Dad saw her heavily sedated, and so it was quite an arduous task to sit there with Dad. I'd put my hand on top of his hand going, Dad, it's okay, this is what's got to happen, and I just kept reassuring him that where she's going, that he would follow when it's his turn. And I can remember driving off from that time, and I just got so overwhelmed with grief in just that moment. Just because here's my mother dying, and here's my father not knowing who I am, and I had to be the the strong one for Dad and say, it's okay, Dad. And I got so overwhelmed with grief as I was driving home in the car that I had to pull over. I was just sobbing. And I was crying out, God, help me. God, help me. And in that moment, he just said, I am right here with you. Can I tell you that in your most anguished moment, it is a truth. He will certainly let you know that I am right here with you. He's never forsaken you, and he's not going to start now. When you really need to hear the words, I am with you, open up your heart and let him speak to you. He is here right with you, no matter what the hardness of your season is. Let him speak to you. I am right here with you. It is written. It's another truth. It's written. I am right here with you. And number 4, you are not going to die. And when I read this, you're not going to die, when the anxiety hit and I had to go and get a bit of help because it really impacted my sleep, and in my anguish I was saying to the doctor, I feel like I'm dying, I really do. And she just would say to me, and Chris can testify this, he was with me, and she said, Julie, you are not going to die. You're not going to die. No one has ever died from lack of sleep or no sleep. No one has ever died from this. You will breathe. You will get through this. You're not going to die. Can I encourage you that if you're here and you think you're just done with this season, you are not going to die in this season. You're not going to die. And what was sent to kill off your peace, your hope, your joy, your strength, your faith, your sound mind, it will not work, because those things are promises of God and the enemy cannot touch those things. So stop acting like you're half dead. Stop acting like you've got no joy. You do have joy, because it is a truth. It is a truth. It's planted in there. As soon as you accepted Jesus as your Lord and your Savior, you have these things. You have strength. You have peace. You have a sound mind. Stop acting like this season that you're dead. You're not dead. You're not going to die here. So pick up your joy again. Stop acting like this is just, you're just walking around. We're walking around going, it's just so hard. You have joy. You have strength. You have what you need to get through this season. You're not going to die here. Don't act like it. And number 5, the Lord is peace. John 16:33 in the Passion Translation, this is Jesus speaking. And everything I've taught you is so that the peace which is in me will be in you. And it will give you great confidence as you rest in me. For in this unbelieving world, you will experience trouble, sorrow, and sorrows. But you must be courageous, for I have conquered the world. Peace is not a feeling. It's a truth. It's a truth. It's not a feeling. I didn't have to go on this crazy search for peace. I had it all along. I never lost it. It felt like I lost it. I never lost it. Jesus is my Lord and my Saviour. As soon as I said yes to him, peace come rushing into my life. It feels like it goes sometimes, but it hasn't gone anywhere. Let me assure you, you do have peace. It hasn't gone missing. It's not gone AWOL. You don't have to go searching for it. Peace is in your heart. It's in my heart. It is in you. I carry it because I carry Jesus in me. You carry it because you carry Jesus. And if you don't, there is an opportunity coming up to carry Jesus and to carry this peace within you. I will have troubles, and so will you. I will have grief, and so will you. But I also have peace, because it's the truth. I am a carrier of his peace, and so are you. And if I could just sum up, if the band comes, which are already there, if I could just sum up the last 18 months, if you can do anything in a season of hardness, if you can do anything at all, then do it. If you know that you can do something that will actually help you, if you need to get help, go and get help. If you can do anything at all, can I encourage you to go and do it? Do not procrastinate here in this season of anguish. Don't procrastinate. Do everything that you know to do, and then pray about everything else. Pray about everything else. What you can't physically do, pray about everything else. Now is not the time to fall asleep in your prayer life, because we tend to do that. Jesus' top 3 disciples fell asleep. Do not fall asleep here. Pray about everything else and then rest. Leave it in his hands and just rest. Be still and know that he is God. Breathe in, breathe out. We are a mighty warrior. We are a collective group of mighty warriors. Go in the strength that you have. He will supply you with the strength as you need it. Don't wait for the feeling. And he is right here with you. He's never forsaken you. He will not forsake you now. You aren't going to die. This season has not robbed you of your faith. You've still got a mustard seed left. Stop acting like you don't have any faith, or your hope's gone, or your joy's gone, your strength's gone, your peace is gone. It's a lie. You've been listening to a lie. If that's all you hear today, you've been listening to a lie, then please hear that. You do have what it takes to get through, because it's a truth. Base your life on the truth. Underline it, scribble in it, base it on the truth. Apply it to your heart, because that is what will get you through. Your biggest struggle will become your greatest weapon. Your story is your witness. Don't overlook your story. Your story matters no matter how big or small, because your story is going to be your biggest witness, because it's not about us. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us. It's about going and saving the lost, and your story is your witness, and it's also your greatest weapon. Thank you.